we do the intro fast so I don't forget it again. Like, we gotta start this bit quickly.
We gotta start.
Stop stalling. We have to start the intro bit quickly.
I'm trying to start the podcast.
I would like to start the podcast so I don't forget what I want to say at the beginning of the podcast.
I would like to start the podcast so I can move on with my life. I'm not saying I don't
come
like
here to
it.
do the podcast. It feels like.
Yeah.
You don't even come here to check on me. Which is...
Yeah.
You just want to do the podcast.
Yeah.
And then go home to your family.
Well, they're at school.
Gosh, I didn't even see you there.
So we did start.
Sorry you had to walk in on all that. Hi, everybody. That's Tim. I'm Anthony. Welcome to the podcast. It's the Bible is Funny podcast. Today we're going to dive in to the Bible, because that's the book for we. All of us. Before we do, Tim, I have a question, observation, thought.
Great.
Something I want to think about.
No, I can't wait.
I don't know if the listeners or the viewers are into this. You can view this podcast on YouTube. There's also a video on Spotify if you're not doing that already. Here in the Russo house, we do watch a show called Love is Blind. It's a television show,
with
reality
kids?
show.
You and the kids?
Yes, we gather around. Come now.
It's like back in the day when we'd watch American Gladiators at my house.
It's the start of our program. Put your books away. Full attention. No, we watched Love is Blind. And this last season that just happened took place in Minnesota. Did you watch any of it? You watched Love is Blind.
Yeah, we watched the North Carolina one, the Charlotte or whatever.
Okay. So, I mean, just it's reality dating shows, right? It's chaotic and you can the joy of it, the real modern day joy
is that you can turn off your brain completely
off. You can look down at your phone. I was learning how to make steak. I got a steak recipe I'm trying out while this show is on. But here's something I observed and then a follow-up thought I had. I think there are positive things happening in the way of mental health, and people are really learning some things, and the growth is happening. And it's kind of ruining reality dating shows because it's starting to infiltrate. And then they're starting to say things that are like reasonable. Like, I don't think we should get married. We just met each other like a couple weeks ago, and I don't really know you.
How dare you screw up the premise of this show?
And you're like...
We came here to watch train wrecks.
Okay, I'm glad everyone's getting mentally well. But I think we're at a point where either we need to, like, identify of their own consent, of course. Like, are you not in on mental health and wellness? Great. So then you can be in the show. Or we got to stop doing the show.
Right.
Because I don't tune this in to watch people make, like, smart decisions. That is not why I'm here. And maybe I'm wrong for that.
No, you're not. You're not, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you when you are wrong. There's a lot of other times, but right now you're not. There's
so much talk about all the positive things about mental health and people taking the time to really know what's going on and how to better themselves. And no one's talking about the negative stuff. It's really hurting reality dating shows.
It's not entertaining.
It's not entertaining, right?
Yeah,
and it just got me kind of thinking, because I was just like, like characters on TV shows. Kind of, I'm the same way. Like, I don't want Michael Scott from The Office.
Well, no, that's
actually learning things.
No, nobody does.
Nobody wants that.
Well, like you need like a hint of it.
A little baby bitty step. But we're watching the show. Who, if you're not familiar with the show, the premise is you don't see this person, and then you propose to them, and then you get married 2 weeks later. That's the whole show. And everybody now is like, I don't know, I think there's some core issues we don't agree on, or I don't know, I think there's some family stuff. It's like, no, you're supposed to be record on this show.
Yeah, don't start trying to make good decisions now.
I'm starting to wonder if this is going to have an impact on all kinds of bad decision making. You know what I mean? Like, if tattoo parlors in Vegas are like, geez Louise, everybody comes here and then they go to bed early, and then they don't. They just think, well, this is kind of a big choice.
I'll be honest. I got turned down for a tattoo. By the guy doing the tattoo.
They wouldn't let you do it?
Yeah.
Where?
He wouldn't do it. He like cited artistic integrity.
What were you trying to get him to do?
In Bristol, Tennessee, when I was at a NASCAR event, because
the NASCAR tattoo you ended up getting?
The first, yeah.
He would not do it.
No, so I lost maybe a little baby bet, just a little one.
A little friendly wager.
A little wager. And
you don't bet. We don't condone gambling. No, not gambling. Wagers are different.
Yeah.
You cast lots. Would be the biblical term.
Yeah.
And then you ended up having to get a tattoo.
Yeah, but what that I drew myself.
Right.
And the tattoo guy there, the artist, said, "I won't do that one." And I said, "Well, why not? I'm coming. I want you to put this on my body."
Right.
And he said, "No.
Yeah.
I won't do something so ugly."
Right.
And that was it. We had to leave. We had to go find another shop. Who didn't have quite the integrity.
Now, if you wanted the word for happiness in Mandarin, I would do it. But this, can't do it.
No, in Bristol, Tennessee.
Yeah, man.
By the way.
They're not playing games at those people go to school? Tattoo artists?
No.
A training?
No. Yeah.
A certification?
Prison.
Why have I never asked what qualifies you to say you're a tattoo artist?
Practice.
You just buy the stuff and then you're doing it?
Yeah, I mean I think you have to have like a license or something. Like you have to have a license to say you can cut hair. There's like something sanitary about it, yeah.
Yeah, well that's real deal stuff. That's big time.
Yeah, that's permanent.
Injecting stuff into people's skin. That's, you learn as you do self-taught.
Yeah.
Self-taught. Welcome to the podcast again. I'm glad we discussed that. If you watched Love is Blind and you want to discuss at The Bible Was Funny, I'm here for it. I love me. If I was confident there was more of a shared audience, I would have been memeing that really hard. But we can discuss if you're a viewer and you watched that last episode or that last season. Today we are going to discuss here
something slightly different.
Something a little bit different. It's called the Bible. We're in the book of Exodus. I'd like to say here before we start, we're going to tackle 2 chapters together, as is our custom. We call this bit Cheat Day Devos. Cheat Day Devos. Because this is like a cheat day for your Devos, right? You're doing your Devos. You're in the Word every day. You started that Bible reading plan in January, and you have not missed it. And you're doing it, and then you're doing your commentaries for follow-up, and then you got your favorite Bible podcast you listen to that really instructs and teaches you all things spiritual, and we're so happy about that, and we're glad you're doing that. Here today together, we're going to read the Bible, and we're just going to kind of yap about it. We're not qualified
for anything
to do anything really. We're as qualified to be tattoo artists as we are to be doing this podcast right now.
To be fair, I gave myself a tattoo in college too.
So you're more qualified.
Yeah.
Although we are both ordained pastors, fun fact.
Thank you, Internet.
So we're going to dive in today. 2 chapters of Exodus. We are in chapters 11 and 12. You can catch up on the book of Exodus if you missed them, or you can do the whole book of Genesis, which we did. Jeez. So that's where we are in Cheat Day Devos. We're going to jump right in. Exodus chapter 11 from the NIV begins right now. Now the Lord had said to Moses, I will bring one more plague on Pharaoh and on Egypt. After that, he will let you go from here, and when he does, he will drive you out completely.
I think God has to say spoiler alert before saying that. This is kind of a thing that we do.
This is what's going to happen.
It's just courtesy.
Yeah, you don't ruin the surprise. Tell the people that men and women alike are to ask their neighbors for articles of silver and gold. The Lord made the Egyptians favorably disposed towards the people, and Moses himself was highly regarded in Egypt by Pharaoh's officials and by the people. Now, I do think, maybe there's a couple paths to being highly regarded, and some of them might be your chum who picked you up at the airport at an inopportune time.
Yeah.
Some of them might be, And that might be, I don't know how I would word that level of high regard, but, appreciation would maybe be one thing. I think the thing that Moses is experiencing is just a real fear
Yeah.
that everybody, they highly regard him in that every time he comes around, all the cattle die or the water turns to blood or it becomes dark for days. So I think that, like,
You want to get on that guy's good side.
he's highly regarded. I mean, you're going to want to regard him. Because you're like, okay.
Yeah, you're not liked.
I wouldn't say liked might be a word.
Like, I don't know that, like, drug lords run around. I'm not saying Moses is a drug lord. Don't get me wrong here.
No.
I'm also not saying he's not.
Hey.
I'm just saying, I don't know him.
Okay.
I don't know him personally. But I don't think, like, around the drug lord who kills people and murders families and stuff, I don't know that, like, the people close to him are like,
yeah,
he's my friend.
Right.
I regard him highly. I certainly respect the heck out of what he can do to my life if he just were to choose another path for it.
So I think favorably, says the Lord made the Egyptians favorably disposed towards the people, and Moses himself was highly regarded. I feel like there's just a little bit of nervousness whenever he comes around for what he's going to do with that staff he's holding at all times. So Moses said, "This is what the Lord says: about midnight, I will go throughout Egypt." This is a very slight tweak from the typical timeline, which is tomorrow. About midnight is also technically
it's technical, yeah.
I will go throughout Egypt. Every firstborn son in Egypt will die, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh who sits on the throne to the firstborn son of the female slave who is at her handmill, and all the firstborn of the cattle as well. There will be loud wailing throughout Egypt, worse than there has ever been or ever will be again. But among the Israelites, not a dog will bark at any person or animal. Now, reading that through, I just was kind of like, I don't know directly that I see. So a whole lot of people are going to die, which is very tragic and tough. But among the Israelites, the dogs will remain calm.
Well, I think what they're saying is, like, they're going to get a really nice night of sleep.
The dogs be chilling.
And if you tell me I'm going to get a solid 8 hours of sleep, I'm on board with whatever you're doing, probably.
Maybe the thought is that, like, some people heard it and they were like, well, nothing's going to happen in my house because my dog will say something. He was like, no, they're not. Dogs won't be barking at all.
No. I thought this little section was funny because I didn't... it's all terrible and tragic. But the firstborn of the cattle were mentioned. I don't remember that. Yeah, I didn't know that the cattle, like, if you got your oldest calf, like, that's going to die...
Down.
One, I didn't remember that part of the story. But two, I don't know that makes a difference. Is there? I know the significance culturally to a firstborn child, but, like, does it really matter if you take the firstborn cow?
Good question. Is
it the favorite? You keep that one, like, on the mantle or something? Like, what do you do? You taxodermy that one after you eat it?
Yeah.
Just a question.
I really don't know, but that is interesting to think about. It's definitely going to be lost in the trauma. Is another thing I thought. It's like you're going to be dealing with a lot of human death before you find your way to go like
oh my gosh, my cattle died. Also, and it was the firstborn of Bessie. She's going to be so upset.
Also, like, all the cattle be dying several chapters ago too. Right. So, like, the cattle be dying. That one just feels like, yeah, okay, more cattle are dead.
Yeah.
So that is, so then verse 8. Among the Israelites, not a dog will bark at any person or animal. Then you will know that the Lord makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. All these officials of yours will come to me, bowing down before me and saying, go, you and all the people who follow you. After that, I will leave. Then Moses, hot with anger, left Pharaoh. Moses, hot with anger. Real cheesed at this moment.
Yeah.
Just that we still have to keep doing this?
I would think so. I mean, if I'm him, first of all, I'm probably a little upset that I'm doing the same routine over and over, and God's like, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart again. Okay. Can you just... What am I doing? I keep doing the thing, and you keep saying it's not going to work.
Right.
You planned this to not work. Your boss, it's a boss. It's somebody telling you what to do and then saying, but that's not going to work. But you should keep doing it. And then I imagine he's probably not like thrilled if he has any sort of semblance of a heart.
Yeah.
That
I think he does.
A bunch of little innocent kids are going to die. I would guess that might be why he's mad.
It's the anger. Yeah. It's the anger line that's like, not like sad. He was angry.
Yeah, I think I'd be pretty pissed too.
Hot with anger.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I'm one of the more calloused, awful people that I know, of course, as you can read about in the comment section. But even I would be a little upset if,
not even true.
At the very least, if the thing that God told me to do next was kill a bunch of babies.
But it just comes across in the scene as like, Tim, when you leave here, your transmission's gonna go, and you're gonna be stuck on the side of the road. Really frustrating that I have to tell you this. Yeah. I'm bummed.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's the way I read it initially.
No, I get it.
Hot with anger.
I get, yeah.
Left Pharaoh. Then the Lord had said to Moses, Pharaoh will refuse to listen to you, so that my wonders may be multiplied in Egypt. Moses and Aaron performed all these wonders before Pharaoh, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let the Israelites go out of his country.
Who could have seen that one coming?
We've been doing this. We've been doing this dance, and this is kind of the grand finale. Spoiler alert, if you have not become familiar with this book that's been around for thousands of years. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in Egypt, this is verse 12, this month is to be for you the first month of your year. Tell the whole community of Israel that on the 10th day of this month, each man is to take a lamb for his family, one for each household. If any household is too small for a whole lamb, they must share with one of their nearest neighbor, having taken into account the number of people there are. You are to determine the amount of lamb needed in accordance with what each person will eat.
This is like extreme meal planning.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at the animal and you're kind of drawing lines on it. So like you're going to get this piece. And and the cow's like, what? What do you mean?
That's breaking
that's
it
my
up.
leg, man. No. I just hold still.
See, I was thinking more from the person perspective. We've been a part of this, some trips we've even done together, where you pack in the morning for lunch, and I'm like, I don't know how hungry I'm going to be at that point. How do I estimate my hunger level? What have we done between now and then? Have we been hiking? I'm going to be hungrier.
Right. Well, that's a little easier when the food is already processed, though. Like, I normally eat about this much food.
Right.
But when I look at the live version of it, I'm like, well, I don't know. I think that lamb I think that's enough for all of, I guess. Right. I don't know, cow, I'm hungry now, but I don't know how much I can't eat the hooves.
You got a bigger sheep?
But that's what I'm looking at.
Like, trying to, no, yeah, that's enough. That little guy looks like enough for everybody. Don't look over here. I feel like, I just would not know how much to allot for myself. That'd be my concern. Be like, and then you got to eat it all. You gotta eat all. You can't over. No, your eyes can't be bigger than your tummy.
As we find out,
the animals you choose must be year-old males without defect, and you may take them from the sheep or the goats. Take care of them until the 14th day of the month. Then all the members of the community of Israel must slaughter them at twilight.
So I imagine there's a
coordinated.
Yeah.
Just
like a little. Okay, everybody, on the count of 3. Axes up. 1, 2, 3, go.
One guy goes early. Oh, come on, Dave. You ruined that.
David.
Gotta redo the photo. Then they are to take some of the blood, put it on the sides and tops of the door frames of the houses where they eat the lambs. That same night, they are to eat the meat roasted over the fire along with bitter herbs and bread made without yeast. Do not eat the meat raw or boiled in water, but roast it over a fire with the head, legs, and internal organs.
This is starting to read like one of the those like Pinterest pages, the recipe pages. We just haven't get a whole lot of backstory more than usual.
That's so good. Looking for a lamb recipe?
Let me tell you the
10,000 years
story.
ago, we were enslaved in a...
Skip to recipe.
And then,
Skip to
and
recipe.
then there was darkness for 4 days. Okay. And it wasn't that Moses and Aaron. It was a different Moses and... My gosh. How much sage? How much?
Not in water. Okay, just tell me what to cook it in.
The same night, you're to eat the meat roasted over the fire. Do not leave any of it till morning. If some is left till morning, you must burn it. This is how you are to eat it, with your cloak tucked into your belt, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. Eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
And no elbows on the table.
Yeah, you can't
And
do
your
that.
salad fork is out. You work your way in
Sure.
from the outside.
Yeah,
It's like cotillion.
and dessert first, because life is short. Am I right, guys? Yeah, a lot of detail there for how you're supposed to do it. This is the Passover meal.
Yeah.
This is real. This is still happening today. People celebrate this.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the last thing. If that's something you learned, that's the last thing you're going to learn today on this podcast.
No, we promise not to do that again.
On that same night, I will pass through Egypt and strike down every firstborn of both people and animals, and I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. The blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you. No destructive plague will touch you when I strike Egypt. Because they're denoted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like put a little, like, you're working on a little shared Excel doc with
sure.
your buddy. And
Right,
you're
right.
like, I already
Google.
took care of this line. Let me highlight it. Just happens to be highlighted in red. Blood. Same concept, though.
Blood.
Already got here.
Painting. Yeah. It's a very, like, if you zoom in, it's sort of like a cute community moment. Everybody with these, like, makeshift
Yeah.
paintbrushes and, like, oh, it's cute. And then they splash some on their neighbor. Then you zoom out and it's like, it's all blood. And a bunch of people are about to die. And you're like,
And then the consequences of like, oh, you forgot to do that?
Oh.
Yeah, your oldest kid is dead. Sorry. You didn't get the memo about the blood.
was that today? Shoot. I thought I had 2 days. That's terrible. Okay, so yeah, you have all that going on. The blood will be a sign on the house that pass over you. No destructive plague. This is a day you are to commemorate for the generations to come. You shall celebrate it as a festival to the Lord, a lasting ordinance. For 7 days you are to eat bread made without yeast. On the first day, remove the yeast from your houses, for whoever eats anything with yeast in it from the first day through the 7th must be cut off from Israel.
I feel like that's a pretty strong turn there.
Yeah.
Like there are like wild yeasts out there. I don't know what there had to be some way of like seeing all the yeast. I mean, right now we have the little yeast packets.
Oh, right.
Those are kind of, that's the only reference I have. So if somebody out there can tell me that yeast is like bigger or looks
Right.
like something different.
Right.
I would think it would be kind of hard to like know for sure that there was no yeast at all in your stuff. But again, I don't do this. So I shouldn't be
Yeah,
talking
there
about
is.
food. But I know my frame of reference. Either way, it seems kind of an extreme turn. Like
Right.
if a little yeasty guy got in there by accident, now all of a sudden you're cut out of your community 100%.
Completely cut off. Right.
Not like you're gonna have a stomach
Right.
ache or something. Like,
Oh, definitely the stakes here as it pertains to yeast continue to rise.
I gotta go.
These stakes, they rise
Steaks don't
like the yeast. On the first day, hold a sacred assembly. This is verse 16. And another one on the 7th day. Do no work at all on these days except to prepare food for everyone to eat. That is all you may do. So that feels like a verse. That feels like a statement that got passed around the community. It's like on the first day, hold the assembly, and another one on the 7th. Do not work on those days except to prepare food.
Except the massive amount of work it takes
Except
to
for all the-
prepare
right,
a
right.
big meal for
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah, that's a lot.
But besides that,
That's a lot of work that you are doing. You can't do any other work on those days
yeah.
because you're gonna have to be getting rid of all that
can
yeast.
you clean up? Can you like clean? You're like for dinner.
I don't remember. There are like the reason
I
we're talking
know.
about this is like truly, if you're not familiar, people do this still, and it's like a very real and serious thing.
Yeah, but if you're making is part of the preparation of dinner like cleaning the knife?
I'm
too?
just trying to think because I know there's like very certain there's ovens that function for this celebration that you can't start a fire, so they have like another alternative.
So you set your oven on Friday after.
Yeah, something like there's so the cleaning up is a good question. I don't know. You throw away all the dishes.
You with your Jewish family heritage that you rarely bring up on the
Not
podcast.
nearly enough.
He's got it.
It's a very rich tradition.
Don't know anything about it.
They don't know I exist, but we are. Yeah, I'll ask them. That'll be how I start the conversation.
At the committee meeting.
All right, where did we leave off?
17.
17. Celebrate the festival of unleavened bread because it was on this very day that I brought your divisions out of Egypt. Celebrate this day as a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. In the first month, you are to eat bread made without yeast from the evening of the 14th day until the evening of the 21st day. For 7 days, no yeast is to be found in your house. Cannot stress enough. Yeast. Least
yeast is least
amount of yeast. Mm-hmm. Or you will be eaten
for this feast
from the community. Anyone, whether foreigner or native born, who eats anything with yeast in it must be cut off from the community of Israel. Eat nothing made with yeast. Wherever you live, you must eat unleavened bread.
Right. Again, seems like obviously it's important. It just seems like the heaviness of it. God's like, I'm gonna kill a bunch of people and cattle, but if you eat yeast for this week, you're out.
You're out.
But it was just like I accidentally ate a little yeast.
I can tell you how this would play out in my house.
Yeah.
Is like me getting a glass of water and looking at Rach and going like, is there yeast in that? Where is the yeast?
What has yeast in it?
I know there are yeast rolls. Mm-hmm. Aside from that, I couldn't tell you what we were doing with yeast. Is it in? What is it in? What is it not in? I don't know.
We know things are gluten free.
That's what I mean. Like when gluten became a thing, there was like a legit question I got asked
when gluten became a thing.
For a
long time, you're right.
For a long time, it wasn't discussed. It was always a thing.
It's been around.
It's been here.
If you weren't sure.
And I had a family member who will remain nameless, who was like, it was a distant family member. I have family members who listen to the podcast. It's not you. Who was like, is there gluten in chicken? And I was like, I resonate with your question. And it's no. But I get the question. Where is it? Is it with us right now in the room? That would be me and yeast in this. If you put me in this moment, I'm like,
yeah. Gluten and yeast are the Holy Spirit.
I'm probably just maybe not eating for a couple days because I'm just
You're not gonna do that.
Yeah, let's not be crazy. Then Moses summoned all the elders of Israel and said to them, "Go at once and select the animals for your families and slaughter the Passover lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop, dip it into the blood in the basin, and put some of the blood on the top and on both sides of the doorframe." Like I said, a little art project everybody's doing.
Yeah, it's it's the most paintbrushy of all the desert plants.
The hyssop?
I have to assume.
I wouldn't.
No, I don't want to make anybody learn anything, but the hyssop is referenced. I did look this up because I wanted to see what it looked like.
Okay.
But it's like, it's got like spiritual cleansing.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know if it has the properties of it, but at least like the symbolism of spiritual cleansing.
Mm. Mm-hmm. The only thing I know is a good way to get rid of it is to scare somebody. And that's how you get rid of the hyssops. None of you shall go out of the door of your house until morning. When the Lord goes through the land to strike down the Egyptians, he will see the blood on the top and the sides of the doorframe and will pass over that doorway. He will not permit the destroyer to enter your houses and strike you down. Obey these instructions as a lasting ordinance for you and your descendants. When you enter the land that the Lord will give you as he promised, observe this ceremony. And when your children ask you, what does this ceremony mean to you? Then tell them, it's the Passover sacrifice to the Lord who passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt and spared our homes when he struck down the Egyptians. Then the people bowed down and worshipped, and the Israelites did just what the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron.
I wonder if that quote has to be said exactly. Does that exact quote get passed along?
Well, it's kind of funny because there's like a couple versions of that quote we're going to come across in this like chapter where it's like, when they ask you, tell them this. And they're like, they're the same thing, but they're just like variations.
Right. But then if you get one little piece of yeast, you're out of Israel.
Yeast is a different story.
Right.
Yeast's a different beast.
Yeast is a different beast? Is that the new t-shirt?
Yeast is a different beast. No hoof left behind. Man, I keep losing my spot. At midnight, verse 29. For those following along. Mm-hmm. At midnight, the Lord struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat on the throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner, who was in the dungeon, and the firstborn of all the livestock as well. Now, I'm assuming that is kind of like a concept from Pharaoh to the prisoner to the It's a range, but the way it's written makes me also wonder like if there was one prisoner in that dungeon.
Yeah, maybe everybody's been pretty good.
Who's like getting really bad news. There's a prisoner in the dungeon. That's who I'm talking about. And everybody reading would be like, oh yeah.
Oh, Jeff. I call him Sal.
Yeah, nickname. Pharaoh and all his officials and all the Egyptians got up during the night, and there was loud wailing in Egypt, for there was not a house without someone dead. During the night, Pharaoh...
Which is so funny to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah, we're going to do a whole one dedicated to just funniness of that verse.
Dead people.
Yeah. During the night, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Up, leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go worship the Lord as you have requested. Take your flocks and herds as you have said, and go, and also bless me." My theory on this passage has always been that Pharaoh sneezed and it was not recorded. He was like, "Just get out of here. Just go. And bless me." And then send him on their way.
No, I get it. I get the joke.
The Egyptians urged the people to hurry and leave the country, for otherwise, they said, we will all die. So the people took their dough before the yeast was added and carried it on their shoulders in kneading troughs, wrapped in clothing. The Israelites did as Moses instructed and asked the Egyptians for articles of silver and gold and for clothing. The Lord had made the Egyptians favorably disposed. A lot of death, a lot of real, we talked about it, toward the people, and they gave them what they asked for, so they plundered the Egyptians.
Yeah. This part feels a little icky to me.
I don't really know, again, it's one of those other podcasts, like, why this? I guess there's just the obvious of like, well, now you got some resources to travel
now
the
we can take their
with.
stuff. Like, all your first kids just died in this horrific way at midnight the night before. I assume the night before. And then they're like, "Hey, can we have your jewelry?"
Right.
And because you like us, right? You're gonna give us your jewelry.
And maybe it's a sense of like being enslaved for hundreds of years, and there's like this is sucked. And this, not that this makes it better.
No.
At all.
No.
But I wonder if there's like I don't know. So the Egyptians urged the people to hurry and leave. I said that part. Let's go to 37. The Israelites journeyed from Ramses to Succoth. There were about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children.
Succoth is my favorite city name in all of the Bible.
Succoth. Many other people went up with them, and also large droves of livestock, both flocks and herds. With the dough the Israelites had brought from Egypt, they baked loaves of unleavened bread. The dough was without yeast because they had been driven out of Egypt and did not have time to prepare food for themselves. Now, the length of time so really, you get this like mix of storytelling in there, right? So you get like instructions for future celebration. That's when we're all like, no yeast. The no yeast came from, initially we didn't have time to put the yeast. We had no time to let the yeast rise.
No time.
So it's all crackers for us. Now the length of time the Israelite people lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of the 430 years.
To the
very day. The Lord's divisions left Egypt, because the Lord kept vigil that night to bring them out of Egypt. On this night, all the Israelites are to keep vigil to honor the Lord for the generations to come.
Does that just stay awake, or you think you have to pay attention to?
I think you got to be alert. You got to be awake and alert. But I don't know how. I'm just curious.
Can you just watch TV?
That's what I'm saying. If you doze off.
Well, you can't doze off. vigils, you can't have a sleeping vigil.
Yeah.
But can you keep vigil while you're kind of checking your phone?
Enough. You're vigilant enough. That's how a lot of people drive. And that's never resulted in anything negative happening to anybody.
Right. But even when you're driving, you're vigilant, but you're reading billboards and you might be on the phone.
You're playing the alphabet game, trying to find all the letters. You know how it goes. Passover restrictions start in verse 43. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, these are the regulations for the Passover meal. No foreigner may eat it. Any slave you have brought may eat it. Any slave you have bought may eat it after you have circumcised him. But a temporary resident or a hired worker may not eat it.
Mm-hmm. I just imagine being like the enslaved person there and being like, man, I'm starving. Can I have a bite? And then they tell me what I have to do, and I go, you know what? I'm not as hungry as I initially thought, as it turns out.
Right. I think there's a lot of significance to this. Obviously, the meal in and of itself, even for people I have known that have done a Passover meal, is not really the star attraction in the whole ceremony. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you were, what does it say here, a temporary resident or a hired worker, it doesn't say they are not allowed to eat anything else.
Right.
So if they're like, you can't have the bitter herbs and quickly cooked lamb and yeastless bread, you can't have any of it. If they're like, oh, okay. So we'll just do
It's not Halloween candy.
The burger
we're talking about here.
Okay, we'll do the burger. I think that's probably until they learn the significance of it, and then it was way more meaningful. It must be eaten inside the house. Take none of the meat outside the house. Do not break any of the bones. The whole community of Israel must celebrate it. A foreigner residing, there's one member of Israel who lives on a mountain just out of town, and he doesn't like all the noise. A foreigner residing among you who wants to celebrate the Lord's Passover must have all the males in his household circumcised. Then he may take part like one born in the land. No uncircumcised male may eat it. The same law applies both to the native born and to the foreigner residing among you. All the Israelites did just what the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, and on that very day the Lord brought the Israelites out of Egypt by their divisions.
Do you think they checked that at the table? You kind of show your ID card or something that's like, hey, I'm here for the conference, or I'm here. Like, you show your reservation to the person at the restaurant.
Right.
But then they're like, well, you have to be circumcised first before you can get here. Do you think someone just goes, yeah, I did that. Earlier yesterday I did it.
Right.
So you don't have to, ow. It still hurts. Or are there people lining up going, well, let's have it out there. Drop it on the table. Let's see.
It's like a TSA inspection.
Right?
I gotta pull you over to the side here.
Sorry, I can't just take your word for it.
Just
at the dinner table?
No, it's random.
There's a bunch
random. It's just a random number of people I have to check.
But you got the whole family sitting there eating or taking part of this meal. Listen, and they're like, oh, Frank wants to jump in.
Gotta pull you over here. Quick check. Let me see your palms. Pat, pat, pat. All right. Yeah.
Let me just double check.
You can carry on.
You don't scream in pain.
That is funny. You do think about the processes that had to come in support of all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where did all the yeast go? For the for 7 days you can't have yeast, but then you can have more yeast.
Right. Where are they stored? Where
was there
how
a
we doing
yeast
this?
Sin eater who took all the yeast?
Or did they have yeast packets that they kept them contained and
a
sealed?
Foreigner who you bring in for, you want to be our yeast guy this year? Just put all this. Your house will be packed full of yeast for 7 days. But that's it. That's Exodus 11 and 12. We are moving right along, getting to the end of the of this part of the Exodus story, and some dark stuff, man. That's the Bible. That's the Bible. We don't skip stuff, and sometimes it's a little bloody.
Sometimes we regret it.
Sometimes a little bloody, and that's
all body parts getting bloody.
Them's the breaks. But there's always something to learn, Tim. So what do we learn today?
Oh, yeah. I did learn a couple of things, but I think, mostly I kind of learned that there's a reason why these people groups maybe don't like each other now. Maybe there's some stuff, and maybe it's like kind of clearly written in the stories here, like, hey, our God just killed all your kids, and we're gonna plunder your stuff.
You think that stuff's resonating?
I think it happens a lot.
There's residue.
Yeah, I think that's been kind of going on for a long time. So
it does seem like, and this is a hot take, I know everyone doesn't agree, there is a history of the Middle East having a hard time getting along. And I know a lot of, that's bold to make that statement. But that's my observation. You know what I mean?
As soon as America owns everybody, though, that'll be over with.
Man, what did I learn today? This was a lot of, this was definitely some messy chapters. But I think it's that, if the dogs are standing down, something real serious is going on. If not a dog is barking, you hear a dog barking, you're like, that's such an annoying sound. It's kind of worse if you don't hear dogs barking.
Right.
I think is the big takeaway.
Kind of like when your kids, if your kids are quiet, all of a sudden
that's the concern.
They're doing something.
Dogs are the key here. They know what's up, and so if the dogs aren't barking, it's because they're like, yeah, we don't. This is bad news. They're sleeping. They sleep through. That's I guarantee you what they were doing. Also, no mention of what happened to the firstborn of the dogs. Some animals were specifically called out. But dogs are on another plane. Also,
oh boy,
if I may, I guess I didn't realize till just now that dogs
aren't cattle
around people for all time.
Yeah. They don't really mention. I don't remember them mentioning the dogs.
Yeah, just not a dog will bark at any person or animal. That's verse 7. So there's clearly dogs, and barking was a problem.
We should probably look that up. If we were a more intelligent podcast, we'd probably do that.
Dogs have been around. I would have guessed if you asked me before this podcast that dogs were wolves at this point. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Had we worked on the smaller dog at this point?
The domesticated?
Right.
That's what they call it in the scientific world.
Or maybe like a coyote. You could probably figure out a coyote.
Like getting a leash on one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A wolf... I don't know how we got wolves to dogs. I don't know how that happened.
I want the dire wolf. Those became Great Danes.
Those are the huge ones, right?
Yeah.
If you've never had the experience of seeing a wolf, it's spatially everyone should in person. Because you're like, dogs are wolves. I can't do it. No, go see a wolf. And be like, that's horrifying.
That's your homework now.
I have a golden doodle in my house, descended from wolves. Hold on one sec.
Oh boy. Don't. There she is.
This is what they've become. Look at this. Look at this. You're stuck to the people.
What have we made of this podcast?
That's Winnie. And when she's not barking, we're very concerned. Tell us what you learned today from the pod at The Bible is Funny on Instagram and TikTok. And we'd love to hear from you. And we're going to continue on in our Bible adventures together here very soon. And I hope you have a great and wonderful rest of your day. Tim, do you have any last words for the people?
Am I going to die? All right. Well, enjoy the apocalypse. Yes.
To you live on the other side of the apocalypse. That is a really good bit. We should start doing that. I
already did.
Prepping for the release. Okay. Love you so much. Cheat Day Devos, Exodus 11 to 12. Done. You just did 2 chapters of the Bible. Text to somebody. Tell them.
Yeah. Take a day off.
Look at you. We did every word. You're such a Bible reader. Love you. Talk to you soon.
See
Bye.
ya.
The Bible is for